Thank you so much for being here, everyone. Like I was saying, it's such a big, beautiful crowd here tonight on a Friday night. So thank you for being here. And we're so excited to have Leonard Lehrman, Helene Williams, and Michael Niemann here with us to share their wonderful music that's inspired by poetry. Usually we have poets, but this is a very different kind of event for us, so we're so excited about that. And of course, we have George Wallace with us. He's been our writer in residence for 10 years, and he's been hosting this program at the Birthplace in person, usually, for 10 years, which is incredible. He brings us so much talent, so we love having him with us here too. And I always want to start off our programs, actually, let me come back. Okay. Not being so small on the screen. And I always want to start our programs by saying thank you so much to everyone who donates. It's so meaningful for us. It especially means a lot right now. In case you're not familiar with us, we are the Walt Whitman Birthplace Museum, which is located in Huntington, New York. And it's the house that Walt Whitman's father built over 200 years ago, and that Walt Whitman himself was born in 201 years ago. And we celebrated his 201st birthday back in May, virtually. There was even people in England that were celebrating his birthday. He's known across many countries. So if you do have the opportunity to be in Huntington, New York, please do come for a visit. We miss having our tourists visiting us as often as they were. And of course, we have these virtual programs almost every single week since the quarantine started. And your donations really make this possible. And it's just been so wonderful. We're growing in multitudes. That's the plus side of the quarantine. It allows us to bring programs like this and contemporary poets and musician voices. So if you check out the links that I will be sending, I have a lot of links for you. You're going to see them in the chat very soon. There is a link to donate, and we just appreciate it so much. So please consider that. Even something like $5 that you'd spend on Starbucks coffee, if you multiply it by all the people that attend, that is a lot for us. So thank you so much for that. I also want to say thank you to our sponsors, Poets and Writers. They are an organization that supports contemporary poetry, and they're sponsoring this event and all of our Walking with Whitman program. So thank you to them too. That also means a lot to us. So before we get started, I just want to go very briefly through our other upcoming events. We have many of them, like I was saying, and they're all virtual right now. Eventually there'll be hybrid events, but not quite yet. Once this quarantine's over, we can have both. So for next week, on Thursday, we will have poet, the moth storyteller, movie trailer narrator, voice actor for G.I. Joe and the video game Mass Effect, Bill Ratner with us. And Bill's voice you will recognize. He does the movie trailers. So absolutely consider joining us on Thursday the 8th. Sorry, I'm getting a little distracted because we just had so many more people coming in, which is wonderful, but I'm juggling a little bit here. So Bill Ratner, he's amazing. And like I was saying, he did the voice for G.I. Joe. So when he does his storytelling poetry, it's just really fun to listen to. So that will be next Thursday. Then the following week on Sunday, the 11th, we will have a tour, a walking tour through Huntington Village with Andrew Rimby. You might remember him from other programs that we've had. And he'll be showing us the historical parts of Huntington Village. And if you haven't had the opportunity to visit yet, Huntington Village is definitely a big tourist destination, but it has so much history, and Whitman himself was so involved with the Huntington community. He founded a newspaper there. It's now a parking lot. It was a barn where he would print his own newspapers and hand deliver them. So it's definitely a great historical learning experience with Andrew.
I actually grew up in Huntington, Long Island, and I remember back in the day when you were born, when the Long Islander newspaper was still being published.
Yeah.
My mother and dad used to read it. So, I have very fond memories of that part of the world, even though it has changed so much. But thank you for carrying on Walt Whitman's poetry and tradition. So it was a great paper and we miss it.
Oh, thank you. Yes. And Whitman started that all himself, and it continued through so many years. So we're so happy that there is a lot of history there that we can share at our museum and also with these virtual programs. So thank you for that, though. That's definitely personal experience with our. Well, I'm just going to remind everyone to mute because I'm getting a little bit of sounds coming through. It's not letting me mute everyone. So yeah, just make sure you find that little mute button and do that. And later we will have a Q&A at the end so you can come on video and speak with our wonderful musicians. The following week we will have a video premiere. It was a video that was filmed by H.P. Moon. He's a wonderful cinematographer. And he came on site and he met with our friend, Daryl, who is a Whitman impersonator. And so he basically filmed this entire wonderful program a year ago, and now we're ready to finally release it. And it will also be it'll be a hybrid Zoom and YouTube event. So definitely join us for that. That'll be really exciting. No one's seen the video yet. And then lastly, I do want to mention George Wallace, who you'll be meeting in just a few moments. He is having a program. It'll be a series, actually, and it's called American Masters. American Masters and Their Influences, European Literary Realism. And it's a 6-week series with works by major European authors and how they influence American authors, and also videos. So if you register for that class, you'll meet with George Wallace and other class attendants once a week, and you'll discuss readings from James Joyce, Oscar Wilde, and many others, and watch videos and use these readings to make a discussion about how they were influenced by these wonderful writers, European writers. So we'll send you all those links. If you're interested, it's $10 to register for all 6 parts of the series. All right, so you don't have to write any of this down. I just like to give everyone a little taste of something. You might hear something that sounds interesting to you and that you can join us again. We would love to have you with us again. And again, I'm going to post everything in our chat with all this information, lots of information. But without further ado, I do want to introduce George Wallace, again, our writer in residence, who has been bringing us so many wonderful people. There you are, George. So many wonderful poets and now musicians. George, I'm going to give you the video right now. Hi, George.
Hello, thank you so much. Thank you all for joining us. Those of you who are regulars with the, I'm going to get closer so you can see better. Yeah, with the Walt Whitman Walking with Whitman series, which has been going on for 10, 11 years, as Caitlin mentioned. Those of you visiting for the first time from across the United States, because Leonard brought you here. Whatever it is. Thank you all for coming. I hope you have a good day today and think about coming back for some of our other programming. As Caitlin says,
George, it's across the world. We have people from Europe and Australia too.
That's great. Okay. All right. How many of you are from Australia? Show a picture of a kangaroo so we know you're from Australia. So, as she said, that book discussion group, by the way, I'm not going to pitch that because we'll get a full turnout for that. But I will say, however, that this program, which has been going on for 11 years, Walking with Whitman, has brought primarily poets, but other artists as well, to the birthplace from across the country and indeed across the world as well. So it's been a very distinguished series. I've had the pleasure of starting with Cynthia Shore, the director of the Birthplace, and I want to thank the Birthplace for their over the years, not just with this, but for the many other ways that they've made it possible for regional poets on Long Island to interface with people from other parts of the country, distinguished readers. And the Birthplace form, constitutes a very important niche in the ecology of poetry on Long Island and regionally and beyond. So I want to thank the Birthplace for its continuing support of poetry and the poets of Long Island. Thank you for that. If you could convey that to Cynthia for me. Today we have really an exceptional event.
Carolina.
As Caitlin said, it's a combination of a collaboration of music and words put together. It's not the first time we've done this. We've had an interface, a multimedia interface for one of our events. In fact, the first year that we did this series, we had Leslie Bai, a poet from Post, LIU Post, with a Chinese dancer throwing ribbons around. It was a crazy scene. It was really good. And then we've had Quincy Troop. Quincy Troop came with a jazz guitarist one year, who was actually from his high school or college, and did an exceptional job. We really laid the place out flat at the Whitman Birthplace, which is, gorgeous location, very, institutional and proper and everything like that. But he killed the place. It was beautiful. And a third occasion I can think of was when Bob Holman from the Bowery Poetry Club, an intrepid world traveler in poetry, brought an African griot with him, with a very unusual stringed instrument, which they performed in collaboration. So it's not unprecedented to see that happen here with the program. This one in particular, this particular evening, I'm very excited about because of my personal involvement in producing some of the material with Leonard, but also because it drew such a fabulous audience. So that's really big for us. We're glad to see you over here. But because I've known Leonard's work going back before he thinks that I know his work, having been a reporter for the Long Islander, which Catherine Riss mentioned, the Long Islander, which was founded by Walt Whitman back in the late 80s, early 90s. I started covering all sorts of different activities, political, social, historical, cultural, around the sports, and one of them was the Long Island Composers Alliance. And Leonard at that time was very prominent in a leadership role with the Long Island Composers Alliance, with several other people. He played a significant role in the programming there. And I followed their work and covered some of the events of the Composers Alliance for several years. So I knew about him, going back way back, not far, which is 40 years now, 35, 40 years now. And as time went on, I'll just say, Catherine, by the way, the Long Island is still being published. So if you wanted to, you could probably still subscribe to it and see some of it online. So, the Long Islander, founded by Walt Whitman, still produces a weekly newspaper.
I'm very glad to hear it, because I know that the building that it was being published out of was wrecked and first they turned it into a store.
We turned it into an Italian restaurant on the bottom, and there were some shops up on top. Right. It still says on the, but that's not the original Long Islander building. The original Long Islander building where Walt, I don't want to get too deep into this, but where Walt originally published was a barn at the corner of West Neck Road and 25A. Mm-hmm. No longer there. But it's a certain point in time, the guy who took over the paper from Walt built a building there. And they had the printing press on the bottom floor, where Rose's Pizza was, and upstairs were the editorial offices. So we returned to those editorial offices and worked out of them, up until the late 90s. So it's still being published in New York City and Long Island. Anyway, back to Leonard. I started to interact with Leonard in various ways, and even reviewed a piece that he had written for Opera News, which is a pleasure to be able to do that. And we started to talk about the possibility of collaborating. It was interesting.
It was Opera Monthly. Opera News didn't review it, unfortunately.
Oh yeah. Okay. And this collaboration grew, and we've done several things together. And he's performed. He's written actually. He's written some of or major portion of some of the songs that started out as my poems, which is it's beautiful to see that happen. And it's been a great collaboration over many years. So now we have an opportunity to see him here at the Whitman Birthplace. I want to say this in general about the idea of poetry being presented in collaboration with, or in concert with, or in some way, in an ekphrastic way, or otherwise, being mixed in with music, visual arts, movies, plays, theater, popular music. This is something that, in classical music, this is something that I think for all of us that are poets out here in the audience, to think about, this is as part of the niche of who we are as poets and what opportunities we have to show our work, to share our work, to develop our work. Certainly we write, on our own in the dark room like this one here, and certainly, we've found ways to publish in small journals, maybe get a book or two published. And in recent years, it's been a burgeoning poetry performance scene. So get out there in in clubs from here to wherever, and in New York City and beyond, and stand up in front of an audience and share your work. That's various ways that we have in our environment, in our ecology as poets to share our work. One of the things that we're missing as poets is repertoire. Repertoire. If there's a classical a group of people that perform classical music, let's say string quartet or a full orchestra, they have a repertoire that they can turn to and play the works of other people going back and centuries and centuries, or right up to the very present. And that's what repertoire is. That you can be on a card with Beethoven. You can be on a card with Samuel Field. You can be on a card with Leonard Bernstein. If you have your work as a classical musician, produced like that or picked up for the repertoire. That goes for artwork, visual arts. There are museums that will pick up work, and they will have the work of artists, and it's presented and it's kept and it's revisited and revisited. That's not true for the most part for poets. If you don't go to a poetry reading and read your poem in front of people, it's probably never going to get heard, never going to get seen. So when there's an opportunity for us to collaborate with people in other aesthetic fields, have a musician write, create a piece with your poetry in it, you're potentially getting into the repertoire. And it's opening up a niche in our ecology, which barely exists. So anytime you see this as an opportunity, you should think about trying to do it. My first experience of it was in 1966, when I was singing with the Cold Spring Harbor High School chorale, and we sang Robert Frost's Choose Something Like a Star. That was Randall Thompson, is that right, Leonard? Randall Thompson, yeah. And more recently, works done by Samuel Field, which I totally admire, James Agee works. The Knoxville 1915 in particular, very strong work. People have over the years, classical composers picked up music. The Fugs, one of the most down and dirty 1960s, grunge bands of the 1960s, hippie beat grunge bands. Did a whole song which was based on Dover Beach. Did it beautifully. So there are opportunities to cross over for poets. Not only in this, but look at the collaborations between Frank O'Hara and Larry Rivers. Paintings by Larry Rivers, which use words in them written by Frank O'Hara. Those are two examples. I'll just give you one other example, and then we'll get on to the show for the evening. And that is the movie Splendor in the Grass, which comes from a play by William Inge, 1959, I think it was, which stars Natalie Wood and Warren Beatty, the music by David Abram. And here you have the whole premise of the movie is based on a passage from Intimations of Immortality by William Wordsworth, including the word splendor in the grass. So you see that there are opportunities. And when we see that, that's something we should think about. And we have this is a very special evening tonight, because we're going to see how that works with modern music, challenging music, all beautifully, executed, as you'll hear for yourselves. but it's that collaboration, the ability to move from place to place and to pick and choose with the judgment and the acumen of somebody like Leonard Lehrman, which makes it really exceptional. You can, and I don't know what he has on his card tonight, what his program includes, but he's done works, his 10 works by Russian authors, European authors, classical American authors, here on Long Island, you know, people like Maxwell Wheat and Patti Tana, and myself, and many others as well. So, I mean, this is an opportunity for us to see what's possible. So I hope you will enjoy the experience and understand what it has to say about our capacity as artists to collaborate and to grow the ecology of our work as poets. Leonard is a great, great man. His social conscience, unbelievable. His grittiness and determination. He probably ran Caitlin ragged for the past month and a half. I'm sure he did. Look at her, she's laughing. But the results are there, and you're going to see for yourself just what those results are now. So if I may, I will turn over the microphone to Leonard Lehrman and his cohorts. He'll introduce them, and on with the show.
Okay, I guess I'm on now, right? So thank you very much, George, for making all this possible, making it all happen. It was the opera New World, an opera about what Columbus did to the Indians, that was premiered in Heckscher Park, commissioned by the Puffin Foundation for the Columbian Quincentennial, August 11th, 1992. That was, I think, our first collaboration, or not, well, it wasn't a collaboration, it was your review of the opera, which was published in Opera Monthly, and then years later they made me associate editor of the publication. It lasted a few years. And we've done a number of collaborations since. Joel Shatsky, unfortunately, was a victim of COVID-19 on August 3rd of this year. And we miss him very much. I wanted him to collaborate with me on a series of songs I wrote for the York Theater, but I found wonderful collaborators working with me in his memory. One of them is, well, actually, I think 3 of them are with us tonight. I see that Barbara Kahn has signed up, which is very lovely to see. And of course, George Wallace is one of them, and Kim Rich. I think it's, there's a participant whose name is Kim, but it doesn't say if it's Kim Rich. I don't know if I've got the right person. But anyway, those are my 3 collaborators on the songs that we did for the York Theater. And I want to remember Joel Shatsky. I also want to remember the social conscience of Long Island, Susan Blake, who died 13 years ago today, and who still has no gravestone at her grave at the Friends Cemetery in Westbury, which once COVID is over, we hope will be remedied. So, welcome everyone to our living room for our Court Street Music Concert in collaboration with the Walt Whitman Birthplace of music on words by Walt Whitman and other Long Islanders. We'll be hearing 7 Whitman songs, 5 set by Marc Blitzstein, 1 set by a student of ours, Thomas Smith, who's with us, and 1 set by me, along with 9 other songs of mine, including 3 George Wallace settings, and 1 setting each by Long Island poets William Cullen Bryant, the late Irving Abram, whose widow Blanche Abram is with us, and Sally Ann Drucker, who I hope will be joining us soon. In the interests of acoustical quality, we pre-videoed all the music, and I spent 21 hours adding subtitles to each song so you can follow the texts, which would normally be in your printed program. All the videos are posted on YouTube and will be made public after this concert. The playlist is easy to remember. It's tinyurl.com/2, capital OCT, 2020. That's the way Europeans write the date, 2 October 2020. I want to thank Michael Niemann and my dear wife, Helene Williams, for all the time and encouragement they've given me in putting together this project, as well as George Wallace for inviting us to do it. Michael is a veteran of New York City Opera, as well as cantorial soloist since 1999 at the Metropolitan Synagogue, where I've been working with him since 2014. and he's in his home in Montclair now, but he was here recording with us this week. Helene co-founded Bronx Opera Company with her first husband, Michael Spearman, and Court Street Music here in Valley Stream with me, also in 1999. And she's our technician tonight with the earphones, coordinating all the videos that we'll be playing for you. She and I have now been together 33 and a third years, which entitles us, I guess, to say that we're long playing. This is, in fact, our 655th performance together. Marc Blitzstein is best known for his adaptation translation of the Brecht-Weill three-penny opera and his own operas, The Cradle Will Rock, Regina, and those he was working on at his death in 1964, which I completed, Tales of Malamud and Sacco and Vanzetti. His 12 Whitman settings were all written in 1925 to 28, when he was a 20 to 23-year-old student, first at Curtis, then in Paris with Nadia Boulanger, one of my teachers later on, and then in Berlin with Arnold Schoenberg, the teacher of two of my teachers, Earl Kim and Leon Kircher. Schoenberg, of course, was the discoverer of the 12-tone system of composition right around that time. We'll talk about that a little later. This is the third volume of the Marc Blitzstein Songbook, which I edited in 1999, 2001, 2003. And all of the Whitman songs that we're doing, all 12 of Whitman songs are in that volume. The homoerotic implications of the poetry notwithstanding, these songs have been performed by both women and men, including Joan Heller, Lisa Roma, Charles Osborne, Bob Osborne, Ben John Ragsdale, Nelson Eddy, and now Michael Niemann. We're going to start with the most accessible and tonal of them in a pretty straightforward D major, After the Dazzle of Day.
You know what, Helene, we're not getting sound for some reason.
You have to share computer sound as well.
Yeah,
as
I'm not sure. I think you have to do it on your end, Helene. I'm not sure why it's not coming through. Maybe unmute yourself and it will.
You have to go up to your view options on Zoom and go down to more and then select share computer sound. Then when you play the video, we'll be able to hear it.
Oh, Helene, you're still muted. I'm going to send you a little thing. Hold on. We had this working perfectly.
Hang on. Shush. Hang on. Hold on. We're ready. Hold on. I am unmuted. It is unmuted. I think we should work. Okay. Share screen. Share screen. Share computer sound. Share.
In 1994, in celebration of the 200th birthday of Long Island's first poet to achieve international recognition, William Cullen Bryant. That's a Thomas Nast cartoon of him. The Bryant Library in Roslyn and the Long Island Composers Alliance, of which I was then president, staged a competition. 13 composers entered with 13 settings of Bryant poems. All were recorded on the first commercial CD ever made of a public library concert. This next song was my submission out of competition, since I had to judge the entries along with Albert Tepper, Leo Kraft, and Hale Smith. It was written for Helene Williams, one of 185 pieces I've written for her to date. Harmonically, it's a very romantic setting, though the melody is actually strictly 12-tone. That is to say, it's based on a series of tones called a row that includes each of the 12 notes of the chromatic scale only once. Which is then turned upside down and backwards to provide an intrinsic unity to the melody. It was dedicated to the memory of Arthur James, father of our friend, erstwhile agent, and current editor of SoundWordSite.com, Jeffrey James. Helene has performed and recorded this piece numerous times, most recently here at Court Street Music in April 2013. That's the rendition we're going to see now. The next song is one of Blitzstein's about Adam, and it's followed immediately by a song about Eve, written by Professor Emeritus Ann Drucker, who registered, but I don't know if she's here. Is she here? Caitlin?
No, we don't have Sally with us, unfortunately.
All right. Well, she wrote this poem in 1984. It was part of this beautiful collection called Songs of Seasoned Women by Patti Tana, whom George Wallace mentioned earlier. My song cycle is called Long Island Songs of Seasoned Women because I chose poems from this collection written by Long Islanders. Begins and ends with a Patti Tana song, and the second song is actually the first poem in this collection, and it's called Eve's Song. It's a very dynamic feminist poem. And before we hear As Adam and Eve's Song, I want to mention that the garden in the second song invokes a theme which is from the first piece by Leonard Bernstein that I ever conducted, which he attended 50 years ago at Harvard, His Trouble in Tahiti, an opera dedicated to Marc Blitzstein. So there we are. Helene, are we ready to play these two videos now?
All right, you're on, Helene.
That's it.
As Adam, early in the morning, walking forth from the bower, refreshed with sleep. Behold me where I pass, hear my voice, approach, touch me, touch the palm of your hand to my body. As I
So, on the theme of Adam and Eve, I want to mention that two of our guests today are Bill Pacer and LaDonna Allison, who are going to be playing Adam and Eve in a piece that I discovered called Damn That Apple, translated from the Swabian, German, with lyrics by Joel Shatsky. He wrote it the year before I met him, and I just found it out as I was working on his obituary. And we're planning to do it. We were planning to do it this summer, but COVID prevented it. But we're planning to do it in February in Florida, and then in August in Massachusetts and upstate New York. I also wanted to mention that Sally Ann Drucker has been having quite a career lately playing Emma Goldman out in Colorado. And our dear friend Candace Falk is just finishing up publishing the 4th volume of Emma Goldman's correspondence. You can see behind me, there's a poster that says E.G., Musical Portrait of Emma Goldman. That's what actually brought me and Helene together. I was workshopping that at NYU, and she came into the auditions, and as I like to say, she walked off with the part and the composer. So that's a little bit of a background on Adam and Eve and Emma Goldman. Now we're going to hear Blitzstein's earliest Whitman song on a rather late Whitman poem. And there's a little Schoenbergian Sprechstimme in it. Tonally, it resembles just a bit the Opus 1 piano sonata of Alban Berg, which is like this piece also in B minor, As If a Phantom Caressed Me.
As if a phantom caressed me, I thought I was not alone, walking here by the shore. But the one I thought was with me, as now I walk by the shore, the one I loved that caressed me. As I lean and look through the glimmering light, that one has utterly disappeared. And those appear that are hateful to me and mock me.
Now, a song that has been awaiting its world premiere for 4 years, a setting of a Long Islander better known as a painter than as a poet, the late Irving Abram, whose widow, the pianist Blanche Abram, co-founded the American Chamber Ensemble at Hofstra, has been a dear friend and colleague for decades. And there she is. She's with us today. in her home in Portland, Oregon. Hello, Blanche. Say hello.
Hello, everybody. So nice to see human faces.
Great to see you.
But we're in a lockdown here.
Well, we were very grateful to your daughter being able to bring you to us by remote. It's amazing technology. So I want to say I attended a rehearsal of a piece of mine at Blanche's house shortly after her husband's death, and she presented me with a book of his poems, and I promised to set one of them, which I did. It's very short but sweet and lyrical, notwithstanding it's adhering to a strict 12-tone technique melodically and harmonically. The row is this. And that's how the piece starts, and then everything is built on that. And so we'll hear that now. As the woodbine twines.
Tinkle of nerve and blood, we say, are all of song, and why not? Why deny the miracle of molecule on molecule? Stardust pounded and shaped eons ago, flavored with happenstance and baked with the sun's blessing. Destiny's diversity, sifted and sorted for each quirk that stayed afloat in the primordial murk and spun out spiraling twins that foretold you and me. Entwined as the woodbine twines.
So, Blanche, thank you so much for the gift of that poem. It was such a pleasure to set and to hear Helene sing it. I hope you liked it as much as
Thank
we
you.
did.
Beautiful.
Now, the other Adamic song of Blitzstein, even more unabashedly erotic than the previous one. Bear in mind that although Blitzstein's orientation was primarily homosexual, like Leonard Bernstein, he did marry a very brilliant woman, a writer and translator named Eva Goldbeck, who inspired him and whom he loved very much, though unfortunately she died very young. Ages and Ages.
Ages and ages, returning at intervals, undestroyed, a wandering immortal, lusty, phallic, with the potent original loins, perfectly sweet. I, chanter of Adamic songs, through the new gone the great city's calling. Deliriate, thus prelude what is generated, offering these, offering myself, bathing myself, bathing my songs in sex. Offspring of my loins.
Bravo.
You really got into that, Michael.
Bravo.
Okay. So now we're going to have the first of 3 songs by our co-host, Suffolk County's first poet laureate, George Wallace. Hello, George. Can we put him on? There he is. So this first one was inspired by a young girl at the beach named Adira Amram. I think she's the daughter of our dear mutual friend, the composer you mentioned earlier, David Amram. Is that right?
That's correct. I was staying out in Fire Island, Davis Park with them one weekend, and she
which beach
crossed
was
over to
that?
the beach, and it's about seeing her on the beach and the whole family on the beach.
Which beach was that? It wasn't Lighthouse Beach, was it?
Davis Park.
Davis Park. Oh, okay. So, yeah, for years we enjoyed the clothing optionality at Lighthouse Beach, which we thought of when we, as we were first working on this
nothing like
17
that.
years ago. But unfortunately, Tropical Storm Sandy provided the excuse for the Rangers to end that. And it's been years since we last visited Fire Island, and we missed it. So you'll notice from the subtitles that in this poem, as in many others, George Wallace tends to eschew capital letters, inspired perhaps by E.E. Cummings, no?
Yes, originally.
The girl with C in her hair.
The girl with C in her hair, she clutches her knees at an easy angle, watching a flock of birds watch back. Their geometry astonishes her. Piping plovers, says the wind, which likes to name things. The girl with C in her hair has no need of names. His secret pattern along a salt-laughing patch of sand. She laughs as the hand of the sea brushes knots out of a strand. One by one, the plovers depart until they're undone. Daylight runs like color to see. The girl with C in her hair times her heart to the tide. She combs her hair like waves as morning grazes the clouds. There is a mother in every daughter. It is the ocean, says the girl with C in her hair. She listens to the wind for instructions. A rush of sea foams up at her feet. Applause. Sometimes you cannot say, the girl with My heart is not a rock.
Such a pretty poem. Such a pretty woman singing about such a pretty girl. So here's another setting of a poem celebrating the body, slightly abridged from the original, but very nicely set by a student of ours who teaches history and sociology at several colleges in the city, Thomas Smith. Tom, or would you say hello?
Folks.
Caitlin, can you find him?
Yes, Thomas, I can see you're unmuted, and just talk for 1 second so we can get you up here. Oh, I found you. There we go.
There you go. Hi there.
Hi.
So Tom first heard Helene and me perform over WBAI in 2003, and he's been studying voice with her and piano composition with me ever since. Really very ambitious. Not that prolific, but what he's written is really very nice. We've done a number of his pieces with chorus, and he's also quite a good actor and singer. He sang the role of the defense lawyer in my opera, The Triangle Fire, and he's slated to do a similar role in the New York premiere of my completion of Marc Blitzstein Sacco and Vanzetti, which was to have taken place at Hofstra September 13th, but has been postponed at least until next year. Now, this setting that we're going to hear of Tom's is quite remarkable in the way that it moves rapidly from one mood to another, the way Whitman's poem does, continually changing meter and mode, and yet achieving a rather satisfying coherence and focus. Tom, is there anything you want to say about it before we hear it?
No, I don't remember doing all of that, but.
Well, let's enjoy it now.
Let's hear it.
I am the poet of the body.
I am the poet of the body, and I am the poet of the soul. The pleasures of heaven are with me, and the pains of hell are with me. The first I graft and increase upon myself, the latter I translate into a new tongue. I am the poet of the woman, the same as the man. And I say it is as great to be a woman as to be a man. And I say there is nothing greater than the mother of men. I chant the chant of dilation or pride. We have had ducking and deprecating about enough. I show that size is only development. Have you outstripped the rest? Are you the president? It is a trifle. They will more than arrive there, everyone, and still pass on. I am he that walks with the tender and growing night. I call to the earth and sea, half held by the night.
boy, talk about prescience in a poem and in a.
I am the cold.
Thank you.
The Whitman wrote that, and I wrote the song before Donald Trump was elected. But that's really
That's what I was about to say. Yes, you wrote the song
horrifyingly prescient. Yeah, right.
in 2014, and the poem itself is from Song of Myself. Had several rewrites. The last one in 1892. So who could have thought about "Are you the president?" and then "Size is only development," and "Have you outstripped the rest?" Oh, brother. Life imitates art, right, George? So let's put George back up now. We're going to have my most recent collaboration with George, written for the York Theatre Songwriters in Mufti Competition Round 3 on the theme Outside. I want to say that I actually sent 7 entries to these, to the first 6 of the 7 rounds, and every one of them won more votes than any others, except for the one I wrote myself. So you see, collaboration really does pay off. This one was so well received. A Presbyterian minister out in Iowa, a dear friend of ours, asked if she could print it in her prayer manual, thinking outside the box, because it has lots of very interesting truisms and thought-provoking passages. If you listen closely to the music, you can hear a little bit of Duke Ellington and the Internationale, representing the blues and the reds, respectively. You have to listen very closely, though. And at the end of the recording, you can see me pick up the phone to talk to George, who was listening to it for the first time when we made this recording. George, do you want to say anything more before we watch this?
Well, I was thinking Cole Porter. As a lyricist. It was a very interesting process to write, specifically to write lyrics, rather than take a poem and turn it over to you and work it back and forth. So that collaborative process really produced something that was thinking outside of my box. It's not the kind of writing I normally do, and that was refreshing.
Right.
It was very refreshing.
But it was really very satisfying. I think everybody will agree when they hear it. Let's hear it now. Thinking outside the box. Well, here we are again, only this time thinking outside the box.
Honeybees love flowers,
And flowers love the sun,
and big black bears love honeycomb.
and forage in the forest one by one.
Thinking outside the box.
Thinking outside the box.
Thinking outside the box.
Do the 3 bears need Goldilocks?
The chickens need
A guardian fox.
maybe the way they need chicken pox. But the morning sun needs the crow of the cocks.
And the cuckoo needs the cuckoo clocks.
And they all go together like a pair of bobby socks. Thinking outside the box. All the colors of the rainbow,
As orange blends into tangerine.
and the red needs to balance with the green.
And the blue needs the indigo.
And I'm sure you know they all fit together.
Like birds, each of a different colored feather.
Thinking outside the box.
Thinking outside the box.
We can all fit within,
We can all do without.
but don't push outsiders in by tossing insiders out. Fight for your rights as a minority, but don't diss your allies in the majority.
Put aside your insularity and Manichaean polarity. Enough with vulgarity.
It's time for love and charity. Recalculate, rejuvenate, and then celebrate.
Well, you fixed it.
What? Okay, so that was thinking outside the box with a little quote from Tenderly at the end. I don't know how many of you know that song from 1946. It was written by Helene's uncle, and when her mother died and left her her and her sister sharing it, it was what enabled us to buy this house in 1999. So now we're going to have two songs on texts of mine. They're English translations from the Russian and the Romanian, respectively. The first is an early 19th century classic, which every Russian child knows. And I see in the participants, we have at least one Russian from Boston, Alexander Zaretsky, who hosted us in a Russian program a year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago. This is a Russian classic. And we learned that every Russian child knows it when we recorded it with the St. Petersburg Symphony Orchestra on this recording called Harmonize Your Spirit with My Calm. This is music by myself and Joel Mandelbaum, that much of which was recorded in Russia, including this song with a small instrumental ensemble, but we'll hear it here with just piano. We were in St. Petersburg on two trips to Belarus and Russia, tracing my parents' roots in 2016. Our Russian friends who may be listening inform me that this is the oldest poem on our program, written in 1811. Ivan Krylov, the poet, was the Russian La Fontaine, or Aesop, and this poem purports to be about animals, though it's actually about politicians and musicians. The Romanian piece, which will follow it, is by a poet we met at a Jewish community Sabbath meal on our final day in Bucharest last October. The poet and his daughter, Zygmunt Tauberg, and his daughter Liana, came up to us and presented us with two books of poetry, which I have here in Romanian. There we go. Really beautiful poetry that he'd written fairly recently. They asked me if I would consider setting the words to music, which I did in Romanian and in my singing English translation, which Helene will perform for you. There's also a graphically choreographed version of the piece posted on YouTube with our friends LaDonna Allison and Bill Pacer performing in appropriate dress or lack thereof. Our Romanian friends have become great fans of ours, but it's the middle of the night there, so I don't know if any of them are with us now. Is Liana Tauberg? She's registered, but did she manage to make it in, Caitlin?
Not with us.
No, I guess she'll be watching the video. They were actually supposed to do the Romanian premiere of this a few months ago, but the entire country went on lockdown, so we're still waiting for that to happen. As we learned, tracing Helene's father's roots over there, the National Opera of Romania, Oedipe, was actually written in French by their national composer, George Enescu, whose dates and hometown are very close to Helene's father's dates and birthplace, and who studied in Paris and is buried there at Père Lachaise Cemetery. So a quotation from a very famous French piano piece toward the end of this Romanian fantasy about the moon seemed quite appropriate. See if you can spot it. I might also add that although this political allegory was written in Romanian in Romania, it seems uncannily prescient regarding our own political situation right here, right now. In fact, in our choreographed version of it in Florida last February, we had one character played by Bill running around wearing a MAGA hat. So if the shoe fits. Here we are, Quartet by Krylov and Aventura or Adventure by Tauberg, with music by me in both cases.
The wicked little monkey, the goat, the donkey, and Mishinka the clumsy bear decided they would play a quartet. They got some music, a bass, viola, two fiddles, then found a fiddle and sat in the middle to
charm the world with art all set. They scrape the strings with hair and wood, but it's no good. Wait, brothers, stop, exclaimed the monkey, somewhat heated. How can we play it right when you're so wrongly seated? First fiddle, should be beside the bass, adjacent, thus our tone enhancing. Then we'll make music when we're all in place, and all who listen will be dancing. In place now, the quartet begin. But what comes out is such a din. Let me put my 2 cents in. The donkey cries, let's try it, sitting rather one behind the other. They listen to the donkey and sit all in a row, but just the same they cannot make it go. But worse than ever, now they start opinion stating, debating how each of them should sit. Attracted by their noise, a nightingale alit. They all appealed to him to solve their doubts, complaining. Oh, please, good sir, they said, without your patience straining, help our quartet to get on with it. The music we have got, we've got the instruments, now tell us how to sit. To be musicians, first you must acquire some training, and ears that simply aren't for sale, replied to them the nightingale. But you, my friends, for music aren't fit. No matter how you choose to sit.
Emerging from a crater on the moon, I flew toward Earth. Upon a friendly breeze, I found a berth and landed in a leafy oak lagoon, where I could bathe amid the morning dew. Of onlookers I gathered quite a few, and merchants tried to put me in a zoo, to put a merchant's price on me and such, so as to charge the view or pet or touch. I really didn't like that very much, and so I ran away to some place oriental and but there I found an ill-attempted coup, much ado. Armed forces holding sway, and all in disarray. The next day I sought a land that warfare would eschew, and found one that might do, where crooks got rich and called each other great, while scoundrels seized the ship of state. That's not the way, I had to say. To stay, I'd have to be as crazy as a loon. So, sometime later, I flew back to and crawled back into my own quiet
Okay. So the poet E. Cummings was not a Long Islander, but his son-in-law, J. Willard Roosevelt, a grandson of President Theodore Roosevelt, was. And it was at Willard's centennial celebration 2 years ago that Michael Niemann first sang this next piece, which had been awaiting a premiere since 1982. I had originally written it for bass voice and guitar, but then rewrote it for Michael's voice, baritone, and piano. It's, of course, a satire on vacuous political speech, and what better time to hear it than in an election season. It's also 12-tone, by the way, and it's also a sonnet with some very odd middle-of-the-word rhymes. Alex Skovron, our Melbourne expert on sonnets and sonatinas, will have a ball watching this. You'll see this, the text in the subtitles and how often the line is often broken up in odd places. This video is the only one not made here at Court Street Music. It was the piece's world premiere, April 21st, 2018, at Pawcatuck Hall in Orient, New York, hometown of Willard Roosevelt and his family, who were there.
It was for Scotland, America, I love you, land of the pilgrims, and so forth. Oh, say, can you sing by the dawn's early my country 'tis of centuries long ago come and go, and I know more. What of it? We should worry in every language, even deaf and dumb. Thy sons acclaim your glorious name. My glory, my jingle, my glee, my gosh, my God. I talk of beauty glass of water.
So, 12 years ago, the Walt Whitman Project, headed by our dear friend, the late Greg Trupiano, commissioned me to set a Whitman poem of my choice, and I chose this next one, as it extols music, opera, and listening. This performance is a troisième, the premiere having taken place at Queens College in 2009, the deuxième at the Walt Whitman Birthplace, February 8th, 2012, at the Huntington Arts Council Awards Assembly. And this is the third one. So I want to mention that there's one quotation in it that followers of my music may recognize. When the judge pronounces a death sentence, the orchestra or piano responds by quoting the title of my Rosenberg cantata, "We Are Innocent." Listen.
Too much.
I think I will do nothing now but listen to accrue what I hear into myself, to let sounds contribute toward me. I hear bravures of birds, bustle of growing wheat, gossip of flames, clack of sticks, cooking my meals. I hear the sound I love, the sound of the human voice. I hear all sounds running together, combined, fused, or following. Sounds of the city and sounds out of the city, sounds of the day and night. Talkative young ones to those that like them, the loud laugh of work people at their meals, the angry face of disjointed friendship, the faint tones of the sick, the judge with hands tight to the desk, his pallid lips pronouncing a death sentence, the heaving of stevedores unlading ships by the wharves, the refrain of the anchor lifters, the ring of alarm bells, the cry of fire, the whir of swift-speaking engines and hose carts, with premonitory tinkles and colored lights. The steam whistle, the solid roll of the train of approaching cars, the slow march played at the head of the association, marching muslin. I hear the violoncello, 'tis the young man's heart's complaint. I hear the key cornet, it glides quickly in through my ears. It shakes mad sweet pangs through my belly and breast. I hear the chorus. It is a great This indeed is music. This suits me.
A grand opera, indeed. Someday with orchestra, perhaps. So one more very short Whitman setting, one of three movements from Blitzstein's unfinished cantata setting of Out of the Cradle Endlessly Rocking. This one extols Long Island by its Native American name, Paumanok. And Blitzstein's 1928 setting is perhaps prophetic. If you listen carefully, you'll hear that Paumanok is set to exactly the same notes as Leonard Bernstein would later use in On the Town to extol New York. You'll hear that. From there, we'll go directly into our final selection, a Whitman-esque Wallace-Lehrman collaboration that exults in Long Island place names arranged for duet, especially for this occasion.
Blow, blow, blow. Blow up sea winds along Paumanok shore.
And shore, and the cold curls of
in the spring,
Or in the
shouts of children,
put back your sprinkler. Or in the raucous chapter
black crows,
hopping through a field
of oak
and acorn, while the squirrels are gone. Where is
the song of the artist on Long Island?
From Montauk to Matinacock,
From Quogue to Massapequa,
from Little Neck to Great Neck,
Setauket to Canarsie,
from Northport to Freeport,
from Oyster Bay to Oceanside, from Roslyn to Huntington, from Banning to Stream. The song of Long Island I shall sing.
I'm going to come back for a moment. Oh my gosh, you guys, that was just so amazing. It's so amazing. Oh,
Bravo.
oh yeah. Okay. So amazing.
Thank you, Caitlin.
You collaborate together and you're able to bring this to our homes tonight. A real concert. It felt like a real concert the entire time. And I saw a lot of people. There's so many wonderful compliments in the chat that I'm going to make sure that you see after this. But right now, I want everyone to unmute for a moment so we can give a big round of applause. Well deserved for your hard work.
Bravo, bravo.
Thank you so much.
Bravo, bravo.
Thank you, thank you.
Great fun.
Excellent. You guys did a great job.
Absolutely.
Bravo, bravo.
Bravo.
Keep going.
Aw.
Right.
So
I want
That was a
to.
fabulous experience.
Yeah.
Before we go into the Q&A, can you put George up for a second? Because I just wanted to give a little background on that last piece that we did.
Sure.
George and I were trying to figure out what to collaborate on, and he writes a poem every day, and so he doesn't mind writing, and he would send me something, and I said, no, that's not it, send me another one, and finally he sent me one that had that line in it. Where is the song of the artist on Long Island? I said, that's the poem. I want you to write a poem on that line. And then he did. And he wrote these beautiful, beautiful images. And we got about halfway through. And I said, okay, now make like Walt Whitman and put in all those wonderful Long Island Indian names like Papamonock and Montauk and Matinacock. And he said, you do it. so I did it. And so it's a collaboration. It's his poetry and my Whitman-esque geography lesson. And it was so much fun. We've used that piece in a number of concerts. He was at our last Metropolitan Philharmonic Chorus concert in Roslyn, where we sang that. And the wonderful thing about the ending of the song is that with all those names, we can change it depending on who's singing it. So, for example, I wrote it when I was working at Christchurch Babylon, but tonight Babylon became Huntington.
There you go. Yeah.
So that was the story behind that poem.
That story is absolutely true. I just say, you do it.
But it was great fun, and it really it's a piece that we love, and we hope that more Long Islanders should hear it and sing it. The more the merrier. Caitlin, do you want to open this up to whoever has a Q&A, or do we want to recognize particular? I would like to recognize Barbara Kahn, if she's still with us. She was the collaborator that I worked on with the for the songs for the theater before I worked with George, and she and I have actually never met except over the internet and the telephone, and she did register, and she was participating earlier. Is she still here? Do you see her, or did we lose her?
I don't see Barbara Kahn. Barbara, if you are with us, you can speak for a moment. No, I'm not seeing her at this moment.
Maybe we lost her.
But if you want to just come back
is
for
Mary Stewart Hammond there?
let me check. I just want to come back for 1 second though, and then we'll go right back in. So I just posted all the links in the chat, and I want to make sure that you know to go to that YouTube video. You'll see it, YouTube channel that Leonard, Helene, and Michael have all their performances on. And so you can check that out. And also George Wallace did a wonderful reading with us just a few weeks ago. And I put George Wallace's poetry reading with us is on our YouTube, so you can also check that out. He's a phenomenal poet, so definitely make sure you look at that. And then all of our other links, just so you can get information. And then I just want to let everyone know, Leonard has a few people he wants to acknowledge first, but then we will have Q&A, so you can come on video for that, or you can type in the chat and we can respond to that. And of course, you've all put such lovely comments, wonderful comments in there as the program is going on. And we'll make sure that Leonard, Helene, and Michael get to see those very soon, so they get the appreciation that they deserve that way as well. All right, so back to you, Leonard. Who are we?
Thank you. Well, I don't see Barbara Kahn or Kim Rich on there, but I do see someone that I don't think I've actually ever met, but have admired for decades since my days at Harvard, and that's Deb and Jim Fallows. Jim writes for The Atlantic, and Deb is a member of my class at Harvard. And I see that they signed on, but I don't see any video for them. Can you recognize them, or is that, can you unmute them?
Devin is the name?
Deb and Jim Fallows.
Deb and Jim, okay, there we go. Yes, I see them. Let me see. I'm gonna ask them to unmute and start their video. Yeah, I can see they're in here, but.
No video though.
No, they might. I sent them an invitation. Do you see that, Deb and Jim?
Maybe not. Maybe they're away from the camera. All right, let's go to Alex Skovron in Melbourne, Australia. I think he's the furthest guest, and he's stuck with us. We've been friends for 20 years, and Alex, I want to say that I learned so much from this experience, which I think I can now apply to the wonderful video that we made in Melbourne with you, where you had 6 poets reading their poetry and Helene singing my settings of them. And it was taped by the Australian Broadcasting Corporation, never shown, but it's on YouTube. And now that I have the technology to add the text, I'm going to do that. It only takes about an hour per poem, but I'll do that because these days, I mean, people don't really look at the text in the description as much as they just watch the video. And if they see the text, it's, you know, it's like surtitles or subtitles in an opera. People are used to that these days, especially people our age who hear them better when they see them, right? So I'm interested to hear what you thought of that E. Cummings sonnet. Have you heard that poem before?
I haven't. I'd love to see it on the page. But yes, it seems to be mobilizing a lot of the resources and the possibilities of rhyme and structure and enjambment.
Right.
Yeah. And let me say that
exactly.
The decision to have the surtitles was fabulous because it's so good to be able to hear the words and see them, and the complete experience. It's just so important. Often we, as you said, we hear the music, but especially in certain genres, it's more difficult to pick out the lyrics. So this was a wonderful choice to do that. And the whole experience, let me say, was a superb experience, eclectic and yet unified. Such an interesting collaborative process. You know, what George Wallace was saying about repertory and collaboration, so important in all the arts. And, you know, in poetry, it happens. It happened with us 20 years ago. It happens from time to time. It should happen a lot more. So,
Alex, tell them the story about how you and I met through the internet via your searching for sonatina.
Well, I had put together a collection of 100 poems, which I called sonatinas. There were 10-line miniature sonnets, in effect. And I thought I had coined the word sonatina, which in a sense I did, but I thought I'd better make a check online. And I went online, Googled Sonatina, and lo and behold, there was this character called Leonard Lehrman somewhere in New York who also had the word. So I Googled you, discovered that your use of sonatina was a bit different from mine. You'd coined it as well. You were talking about the settings of sonnets. I was talking about writing miniature sonnets. So, so we kind of came at it from two different angles. And then we came together because of that. We started off a correspondence, and to cut it short, Leonard and Helene came to Australia. We put on an Australian Odyssey, which was Leonard's settings and Helene's singing of
poetry and collections that you edited and sent to us.
Pardon?
That was poetry that you edited and sent to us, including 2 of your own poems.
Yes, well, that's right. When you came out, I bombarded you with lots of Australian poetry, and you made a very fine selection from poets living and no longer with us.
And we also sent you our CDs that were made with Leica of Songs of Love, and you wrote these most glowing reviews, which we still quote everywhere. It was really a marvelous experience, and we really enjoyed. When we hadn't seen you this way until we were in Romania a year ago, and we connected on WhatsApp. And we have to do this more often. Well, actually, we're going to do it again. I should tell everybody as a preview, there's going to be a series of concerts for soprano, violin, and piano from here every month next year. And we're going to put on one of those concerts the setting that I wrote of one of your most recent poems, Alex, The Last Word, which actually was a commission to be done with Baroque instruments, and Alba Consort did it at the Roslin Church, and Helene has done it alone, and I'm writing a new version of it for just soprano, violin, and piano, which we will do in this series of concerts.
I look forward to that.
Alex, it's great having you. We got to give some other people a chance to speak, but I always just, it's such a charge that I get whenever I talk to you. So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much, all of you. All the, you know, it was a fantastic morning in my case.
Morning, right.
Cheers.
So who else is here? Who wants to say something? Oh, Bill Pacer. Can we put Bill on?
There we go.
Hi.
Hey guys.
How
you
are you
look
doing?
tired. It's not morning there, huh?
No, it's been a long birthday party.
So did you get a chance to spend any of your birthday in your birthday suit?
Yes, until I got on here, and I realized I can't be on my birthday suit here. That's why it took me a while to get back on. I realized I can't put video on like now. Let me get better acquired.
Well, it's great to see you. And I told Helene I thought we should sing happy birthday, except you can't really do that on Zoom because it'll get all cacophonous. But consider yourself sung to.
Thank you. I have to admit, the best birthday present I ever got was having the Atlanta Opera Chorus sing to me in 4-part birthday in 4-part harmony.
Oh my goodness!
The Atlanta Opera Chorus singing happy
so
birthday.
Let's see who else is.
Harmony.
Oh. Let's see. My cousin Kim Kirkott is there. Are you there with Kate Eaton? Kim?
No, I'm here by myself with my barking dog, which is why I was muting.
Oh, okay.
This was absolutely wonderful.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it a tremendous amount. Yeah.
We loved seeing you at your mother-in-law's 90th birthday last week. I was hoping she could join us today, but maybe she had difficulty with the connection. Yeah. Her mother-in-law, Musa Eaton, is my mother's first cousin and closest relative, and very dear friend of ours out in California. And you're coming in from Michigan, right?
Yes.
Looks like you're in outer space, though.
Yeah, after that lunar, I decided I'd rather be on the moon in a crater, popping my head out than sort of stuck here on Earth right now. Everything is so surrealistic. So I was particularly appreciating some of the work because it seemed so timely. And I'm still was wondering if it was a bit of staging before you did the very nice piece and contrasting pieces of Adam and then Eve. So I thought there was a little bit of pre-staging going on with that. So I really like that pairing.
It's all in your mind. You know, Tom Lehrer used to say, filth is in the mind of the beholder. Right? Anyway, listen, I see that Deb and Jim Follows are now on the screen. And can they unmute their mic and say hello?
Yep, we're here. Hey, this is Deb and Jim sitting next to me. So
hi.
I have the distinct honor of being a college classmate of Leonard. The wonderful thing about that is that you have a lifelong bond. The terrible thing about it is that in real time, you often didn't know the other people in your class very well. So I'm going for the long view and say how proud we are to be part of your and Helene's cheering squad, and congratulate you very much on what you've done. It's really nice to see that us old folks can still accomplish things in this era.
Well, your husband said that he might come to our reunion next year with you youngsters because he's 1 year older than we. And I just wanted to say that I never
advanced class.
The sad truth is I'm actually older than Jim. He's one of those kids who skipped second grade or something ridiculous like that.
Well, I could be in his class too. I actually entered with sophomore standing, so I could have taken Harvard in 3 years. But who would want to do that? I took it in 4, of course, and I had because I had sophomore standing, I had a single room for the first year and then the last 2 years. But I just want to say something that I said to you, but I want everybody to hear this. Jim, I've been an admirer of yours for half a century. I seriously, when I was comping for the Crimson when you were basically taking it over and steering it from what I perceived in 1967 to 71 as a transition from being modeled after Time magazine to getting closer to the nation. And I thought that was an incredible ideological turn that was necessitated by the times, by the strikes and the strife. But I just really admired your work, and I always wanted to tell you that. So now I've told you that privately and publicly.
Well, you're so nice to say that, and I'm glad to have this bond to your and Deb's class, and we really we've enjoyed hearing what you all have produced. So thank you very much for including us, and congratulations.
Thank you. And let's absolutely not lose touch, stay in touch.
Another 50 years.
Right. The next 50 years. I'm trying to find the, let's see. Oh, there we go. I want to see who else is here that I recognize. Amy Ewing is here, or was, and Carol Skinner is here. Can we get one of them on camera? Carol, can you unmute?
Carol, I'm sending you a request for your video, and
now
there
I should
she
be
is.
unmuted. Am I unmuted?
Now you are.
Yes, you are.
Well, so Leonard and I have known each other for, well, not quite 50 years, 47, I think, Leonard.
That's right.
Isn't that right? Yep. I came back to Ithaca, and Leonard was here as a graduate student and composing operas like mad. And so I was singing in some of them. And we've known each other ever since and keep in touch. But I think this is the first, this is about the first time you've done anything like this, isn't it, Leonard?
Well, it's the first time any of us have done anything like this.
I think it worked very, very well.
I mean, this concert was planned over a year ago, and it was supposed to be a live event, but circumstances beyond our control, also known as the Trump pandemic, made it difficult, and we've overcome the difficulties. And as I said to Alex, I'm really glad that I've now mastered the technology of the subtitles, because I've got 3,500 videos that have been waiting to have subtitles.
Oh, that was marvelous.
If I live long enough, I'll do as many as I can.
It was definitely worth the time that it took you to do it. Absolutely.
Oh, thank you. Well, Carol is in one of my first operas, Seema. She has the leading role, and that's an opera that was shown on cable television in 5 countries, and it was very successful. But to watch it today is difficult, particularly because it doesn't have titles. So that's going to be one of the first things I'm going to try to do in the next few months is put titles on it. Okay.
Good. Good. Good.
So let's see who else is in our public here. There are names that I don't recognize. Oh, Ada. Wait a minute. Before we go to Ada, Sasha Alexander Zaretsky is from the Russian community in Boston. And I think he's still here. Can we unmute him? I see there's a T there. I don't know what that T stands for. Can we get him unmuted?
Yes, I'm sending him a request right now.
Sasha, are you there?
Yes, I am here.
We can't see you, but we can hear you.
Yeah, for some reason my video doesn't work.
Oh, but you're calling from Boston, right?
Yes.
Yeah, Sasha is the head of well, he worked with us on a couple of programs that we did honoring the memory of my mother and Solomon Michoels, whom she interpreted for in Boston during the period of when they were raising money for Russian war relief. And it was really quite amazing. We did these concerts in Russia, and he saw them on the on YouTube and then invited us to perform there. So how did you like the Krylov in English? You've heard it in Russian.
Very good, specifically the music.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I saw a chat comment came in that somebody should make a dance for children out of it. And I think that's quite an interesting idea. Should be Russian children, because I'm told that, well, when we did the recording in Russia, we had a baritone. I wanted a bass, but we had a baritone who came and learned several of the songs. And that one he was supposed to learn, but he didn't realize he was supposed to learn it until the night before the recording. And the conductor said, well, don't worry. All he has to do is learn the music, because all Russian children know that poem by heart already. So that was something that we learned at the time.
Yeah, specifically, this is a specific Ivan Krylov. This is, as you told, this is Russian La Fontaine or whatever. Aesop. Yeah. Actually, Greek Aesop.
Yes, Russian Aesop. Yes, that's right.
And this story about quartet, animal quartet. It's so so interesting. If you see some interstate or some policy of different country.
Yeah, it's about politics. Actually, I wrote it at the time. I was at Cornell, and I remember it was inspired by the Vietnam War talks, where they were debating the shape of the table that they would sit at and discuss the peace talks in Paris. And I thought, isn't that ridiculous? They can't agree on the shape of the table. It sounds like the animals in the quartet, So, and then of course it also reflects on certain composers groups that can't agree on anything either. But Linda Kundell, a member of our Metropolitan Philharmonic Chorus a number of times, is on without video. Can we get her audio? There you go, Linda.
Can you hear me?
We can hear you. We can't see you.
Yeah, I don't have a camera on my desktop, so.
Oh, that's why. Okay.
That's what I was listening from. Yeah, great job. Great job.
Were you able to watch or just listen?
No. I can see everything.
Oh, that's good.
It's just nobody can see me.
Right. Okay. So you don't have to wear any clothes. Okay, that's fine.
Exactly.
Okay.
That's an interesting
certain advantages
point.
to that, right?
I'll take that under advisement.
You take that under advisement. Ada, sure. Can we get her on? We were seeing her before, but now we just see her shadow and her muted microphone. There she is. Oh, that's because there are two of you. Hi.
Hi, dear. No, I that's because I took my makeup off. It's getting very late, and I've had a long day. And I've taught all day.
Oh, you
and
look
I've taught all
beautiful.
week, and I'm tired, so I don't want to have to be presentable. So I'm going to probably hide myself in a minute. Thank you for this wonderful evening. It was so.
Listen, I don't think I've seen you for 20 years, and you look at least 10 years younger than I remember you. So there must be something good about that makeup.
It's very kind. This was a tremendous effort, a tremendous production. Of course, I'm partial because I love my brother, Michael Niemann, and I haven't seen him, do this kind of work before. And I as myself being an opera singer, as you know, and
Very good singer.
soloist, I was blown away by both your wife and Michael as a performer and an interpreter. I was blown away by their complete artistry in presenting this very complex music that you've written. That was the poem. And I understand people talked about it liking to see the subtitles, but I thought without the subtitles, they brought the text very much to life. And I was just blown away by the professionalism of the entire production, given, it's not like you have all professional live stream equipment and super audio, and the work speaks for itself and the talent speaks for itself.
Oh,
And
Ada,
I really appreciate having had this high level artistic experience. It's a musicale, a home salon experience that I was fortunate growing up with my mother, Nitsa Niemann, who was an opera singer and an educator. She would put on these sort of salons every month. And
oh my.
as for my soul, this was just so wonderful. Thank you so much for the entire team that put this together and for sharing this with us. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Ada. You are very much in our thoughts and our hearts. We've tried twice now to put together a project with you first in San Diego and then in Cincinnati at conventions that didn't happen. But we and also Michael wanted to celebrate his 20 years at the Metropolitan Synagogue and was going to bring you in to sing, and then of course that was canceled. But we do so hope to see you soon in a context, in a situation where we can do the wonderful music that we know you're capable of doing and that we want to do with you. I should tell everybody who doesn't, most of whom probably don't know, that your father, Michael's
he's not Michael's
husband,
father, it's my father.
Your father, Michael's mother's first husband, was
Yes.
Vanya Schur, who was of really a mainstay of Jewish liturgical music. He wrote so much and had such an important position at Hebrew College in Cincinnati. And I had the honor of working with him for a week in Syosset at North Shore Synagogue. He was a joy to work with, and he liked me too, and recommended some music of mine to the publisher. And and I owe him and you and Michael my current synagogue job, because your former husband, Ken Jaffe, was writing a book on Jewish opera, and he came to our apartment in before we moved into this house. We were living in Queens, and he came and spent quite a bit of time with me writing his book. And then he invited us down to sing with you and him, a service that I'd written in Miami in 1999. And so then when a vacancy came, when the job of music director for the High Holidays at Metropolitan Synagogue became vacant, and you announced it in the Guild of Temple Musicians newsletter, and I applied for it, Michael told me that you saw my submission and said to him, "Don't even look at anybody else." So that was really wonderful and very sweet. And we're all mishpacha, aren't we?
My pleasure, Leonard. Again, thank you for sharing. I know what tremendous effort this is. And it's not like we're getting any younger, but hopefully we're getting better.
We certainly tried.
Yes, thank
so
you.
Is there someone else that we haven't recognized that would like to say something?
Yes, we do try to get younger, Ada.
But yeah, well, we're young in our spirit, but as you know, the body is temporary, and music reminds us eternality of the spirit. And without music, life is not as rich or as beautiful as it can be. Did you hear
So
what
there
I
are some
said?
names. Oh yeah,
Okay,
it's beautiful.
thank you.
We did indeed. There are names of people that I'm looking at in the participants that I don't recognize. I'm trying to single out those that I did. Is Amy Ewing still with us, or I think she may have departed? And then there are people that I see names that I don't recognize. Jeff Amsler.
Yeah,
I don't think I know who you are. You want to say hello?
So that's a friend of mine, and he's very gracefully tuned in. So thank you, Jeff. And yes, he's a coworker of mine at my other job.
Hi.
Oh, Michael,
Yeah.
that's it. Friend.
So thank you, Jeff.
Thank you.
I was
Nice to see you.
wondering who Maureen was. Maureen with no last name.
Is she still with us?
Seems to be. The name is up. Maybe she just left. Oh.
And we do have a lot of our wonderful followers that join us a lot of weeks, so that's good too.
Uh-huh. That's good.
There's something I want to say. I've been following Leonard and Helene for years. This is the first time I've had a chance to actually listen to a full concert when I'm not part of the concert.
That's right.
And it was really a pleasure, especially when you did the one about the moon. I'm going, oh, yes.
That's the one that you guys danced for us. And
that's right.
Helene kept telling me, I want to do all the gestures. They're getting all the applause. I want to do it myself. And I said, all right, you'll get a chance at this concert to do it by yourself.
I think the first time I performed with you, Mike, was 1995 or 90.
That's right, 1995. Adam and Lilith and Eve.
Right. And here's the first time I've actually had to sit and actually appreciate what you're doing, because when you're part of it, your mindset is different. Your mindset is do the motions right and do everything right. Here they're able to really sit down and really enjoy and savor what you're doing.
Oh, thank you, Bill. Well, we're looking forward to seeing all of you in February. Hope it's going to happen.
Yes. We got a long day. Thank you, Leonard.
Is Amy? Thank you. Is Amy Ewing still there, or has she departed?
I don't see Amy, actually. I also was wondering, Helene or Michael, if you want to share anything with us.
Yeah, kind of. I do. I kind of enjoyed the process of doing all the takes, and Leonard kind of dragged me screaming and hollering into this with all this new music, mainly because we have very little time to practice it. He was having eye problems, and I was rolling him or driving him around, and then I got involved in doing census work, and I really enjoyed going out and getting into people's business. So we kind of had about a week and a half to put this together once his eyes came back to normal. And it was like, so we got to learn this piece, and I got to learn this piece. Now we got to learn it, and then okay, we got it in the can. Whoop. Okay. Hey, can I do that again? Can I sing this one again, honey? And like, they're also marvelous. They're also marvelous. That the Woodbine Twines, he wrote it. He said it's in 12. It's 12 tone, and it's was it in 5 also? Two of the things I hate to do. I hate to count anything that's not 1 2 or 1 2 3 or 1 2 3 4. But he makes me do 5 and 7 sometimes. Oh,
you have 5 fingers on one hand. You can count 5.
Nothing. I'm going to say read between the lines, but I'm not going to do that joke. But I enjoyed the poem, and once I really understood what the poem was about, it was so much fun, and it made a lot of sense, and all of them. And in fact, today with the duet that we did with George's poem about the Long Island, I actually enjoyed it.
That was the most difficult, actually. We had 3, 4, 5, 6 takes of most of the songs. That one had 10 takes before we got it right.
Yeah, but
I've
three
heard.
people, I
have to say,
I played the wrong note, or they sang the wrong
to
word.
interject, I have to say I've heard that with folk choruses, and they don't compare to the duet. The duet, because you can see your faces, your enunciation, and the theatrical quality, and your physical presence really made it the best performance I've seen.
Thank you. And I think actually it was the best video. I looked at, I don't know, maybe it was because it was at night or something. By the time we got to it, it was dark, and the light was coming from the front, and we knew it well enough to have our heads up. I'm talking for myself, because Michael can see his music from 5 feet away. I can't.
Michael is the age of your son.
Yeah. Shush. Don't say things like that. Not in public.
Well, when I first met Helene, actually I auditioned for the Bronx Opera Company as a director in 1977, and 10 years later, my marriage had fallen apart, and so had hers, and she auditioned for me. And I asked her, do you still keep in touch with your first husband? And she said, well, we have a son together. And I said, how old is he? And she told me, and I looked at her and I said, that's impossible. So that we took it from there. So Michael, do you want to say something? Mike Niemann?
Yes, hello.
Hello.
How's the bourbon?
Well, hello. Yeah, the bourbon is fantastic. You can tell I've had some. I have to say that this was really a pleasure to do, and I loved all the music and the poetry, and Walt Whitman is just such a visceral poet. Everything he writes is so incredibly meaningful and poignant, but even more so than when it's set to music, and you have the brilliance of Marc Blitzstein and then Leonard's editing, and it's just, and his musicianship, it's incredibly meaningful. So it's been a pleasure for me to be a part of this, so thank you.
Thank you. Are we still on?
We are.
Okay. So, Caitlin, were there things in the chat that you wanted to share with us, or questions?
Oh, we don't have any questions, but again, we just have so many great comments because everyone enjoyed this so much. I don't want to go through all of them now, but I just, yeah, tremendously enjoyed. I mean, also just how you brought this together. I feel like I was personally a part of it, and I couldn't believe how much work goes into all of this. And it's just beautiful the way it came together. And also, it was supposed to be in person, but we reached so many people that wouldn't physically be able to be here. So that's amazing too.
Alex.
Really, elsewhere. It's incredible.
I want to say that Caitlin was a super leader of this, that I learned so much working with her, and she keeps her cool so well.
Yeah.
So nice. She's articulate. She knows how to explain things, and God, she helped me. Next time we do this, it'll be perfect. In fact, a lot of this pretty much was, except when I sort of fell asleep. Okay,
Caitlin, is there any way you can edit out that little explosion we had near the beginning? I don't know if you can.
Yes, no worries.
You can do that. Oh, good. Thank you.
We'll leave that in the director's cut.
Had a little bit of temperament, but then it all settled down.
Well, you're artists after all.
Right. That's it. That's it.
I thought that
Yeah,
was,
well, I'm looking.
yeah.
Really,
I'm looking forward to getting the reactions to people that weren't here, but that will be watching it. Like I hope Ann Drucker and certainly Liana Tauberg wrote me. She's working in a hospital in Romania in crazy hours, and she was going to try to make it, but even though she didn't, I know she'll watch the video. The first time that we sang those Romanian songs was when we sang one of them by her father at a memorial to my mother the week before my father died. And we put it on YouTube, and the very next day, she showed it to the whole Jewish community in Bucharest. and we got the most glowing response. So it's quite amazing what the internet can do internationally. You know, I've written translations from French, German, and Russian, Ladino, Yiddish, and Hebrew. But this was the first time I worked in Romanian, and Romanian is such a gorgeous language. And I have Helene to thank for that, because I never would have gone there except that we were looking for her roots in all different parts of the country. And we gave a concert in Siget, where one of her uncles, we think, was born, and that was Elie Wiesel's hometown. There's a museum for him there. And it was just an amazing experience going to Romania and bringing back these beautiful poems. While we were there, I was working on the translation, and I actually called Alex to consult with him in Melbourne about the syntax of the sonnets that I was translating from Romanian. And that was a very exciting experience too, I must say.
I'm about to leave you, actually. So as I say goodbye, let me just say congratulations. Can you hear me? Right.
Yes, we can hear you.
So,
yes.
Helene and Leonard, congratulations all around. Caitlin, Michael, I loved the performances. I loved the theatricality and the professionalism. Everything was just beautifully achieved. And I send love from Melbourne and look forward to further events like this in the future.
Collaborations, I'll drink to that.
We'll have you for the last word, which won't be the last word in the coming year. As soon as we schedule it, we'll let you know.
Okay, that'll be something to look forward to. So
so much.
Lots of love. Be well. Stay safe.
You too.
I think that's an appropriate time to thank the rest of you for coming. Caitlin, you think we should put a wrap on this?
Yes. What a wonderful night. I mean, this came together so beautifully. We couldn't imagine this a year ago when we planned it, but I was just thinking like having front row seats in your own home. So it's just incredible.
Right.
We just feel so lucky to have had the three of you with us. And I also want to remind everyone, we will be sending the recording next week, and it'll be on YouTube. And then again, in the chat, there's the links for their performances that are on their YouTube channel.